Apparently I was not live and now I am. All right. So we'll get started here. So what I want to start showing you here is the syllabus. I'm still got to find it for the online viewers here. I apologize. This is the syllabus here. They can view it online as well. So really the idea in this is to have you reflect on everything you've done. That's one piece. That's a rather easy thing to do, is look back and take note and take stock of what you've done. Add that to a portfolio. It's an online portfolio that we can sort of dress up however you want to dress it up. But the big piece is a small research project, a research paper, a final project, if you will. It could be creative. I'm open to someone. I have some students who are coming out of the arts, and so they may want to do something more creative than a final research paper. You'll still have to do some research. You'll still have to do what I call an artist statement. You'll still have to have a bibliography and all those pieces, but it might be more creative oriented than research oriented. But for most of us, and I'm thinking all of you will be interested in the research project, because it's 8 weeks, I'm keeping that rather small. This is where I think that the pressure comes in. If I do a full-fledged term paper, and maybe you guys have done this elsewhere, I assume you've done some elsewhere, 8 weeks is not a lot of time to do a lot of research, right? So I'm looking at between a 6 to 10 page paper, right? It'll be a carefully crafted paper in the sense that it'll have a thesis, it'll have to have some argument, it'll have to have some research and so on. I'll lay all that out for you when we get to the course. I actually have rubrics for everything, right? So you can see exactly what I'm expecting and how it's going to be measured. But that little 5, 6 to 10 page research paper will be something that integrates some of the things you studied. Not necessarily everything. Now, many of you have great packages. I assume you're going to be drawing from lots of things. But some of you, maybe there's just 2 areas where you really found the important stuff and you want to focus on a topic in those areas. That's fine for me. As long as I can see that you're integrating. That's what I'm really looking for, okay? So it needn't be everything you've done, but it's got to be some of the things that you've done. That research project, let's scroll up, let's scroll down here. I won't go into all the learning objectives and all that, but the requirements are going to be these. Are you where I am? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's like magic. The portfolio you'll see is 70%. It's a big part of this, but it has lots of pieces to it. They aren't big pieces, but there's a lot to manage here. 2 artifacts from previous classes. And by artifact, it could be a paper, a project, some kind of, if you did an internship, if you did some kind of a field trip, something you did that you can sort of draw back in, maybe it's a particular lecture or lesson or something, and reflect on that. I want to see 2 of those from different classes, right? So I'm guessing, imagine you've had a short essay you wrote for a class that you did rather well on. You would include that, and you'd write a 1 or 2 page narrative that says, here's what the assignment was, here's what this essay means to me, here's what I learned from it, here's why it's valuable, here's why I'm putting it up. Okay, so two of those artifacts, what we're calling an intellectual autobiography. So this is really, again, roughly a 2-page essay about sort of your intellectual growth, your intellectual journey. And it could be sort of how you got into this program, how you got to be interested in the questions you're interested in, right? So it could start with biology, right? It could start with, well, I started my career interested in biological questions and pursuing that, and this and this happened. And then I found myself doing these things, and now I'm interested in these questions. And so I'm choosing my coursework now to help me understand these problems, right? And this is going to help me in the future because I really want to move my life towards this career or this plan or whatever it might be, this service. So that's a kind of reflective piece that you'll post. There'll be a resume in there, and this is rather well understood kind of thing these days. I mean, the Career Services program at NKU has a wonderful website, and they actually have programs that'll walk you through this. But I do think this, I want you to think of this portfolio you can work in. So as if some of you are out there looking for work, not everybody is, but if you're in the beginning of your career, you're going to be interviewing or applying for jobs, you could point to this portfolio and say, here's some of my best work in college, and my resume is there, right? Whatever you want to do with that, right? So a resume will go on this. And the rest is really centered around the research project. So it'll be a proposal or prospectus. Has anybody done one for a class before? We had to actually write a proposal before you wrote the paper. So you've done that before? Some classes do and some classes don't. We'll walk through what that means, but it really is a pitch. It really is you're coming to me with, here's the thing I want to work on. Here's why it's valuable. Here's why I think I can do it in 8 weeks, right? Here's why it's important to my projects and so forth. So that's what a prospectus is. So we'll do that and we'll post that. There's an annotated bibliography. This is a shortened bibliography. You'll have a longer one for your paper, but I want you to take about 3 of those entries and write a paragraph on each. It's like a critical summary of this article or that book or that chapter, right? So it's there to show me that you actually read this stuff and you understand this stuff and you see why it's relevant. So there'll be what I call an annotated bibliography, and then there'll be the paper itself. There's 6 to 10 pages. You'll find a format, MLA, APA, something like that, and whatever you're comfortable with. And you'll write me a paper according to a thesis statement, some argumentation. I've been telling students one way to think about this is it is a short paper. It's kind of an informed editorial, right? And it's got an opinion, but it's not just an opinion. It's got an argument. Right, so it's almost as if you're writing for a premier New York Times magazine kind of thing, and you're defending something, and so you're going to be bringing some research to bear on this, and information, and then some argument. Okay, and that would be the final paper, and that together is also a little overall 10% about the look of your portfolio and so forth. But that's about 70% of the coursework of the final grade. There are some discussion board items worth about 20% at the beginning. There'll be some readings up front. Those are designed to get you to think about what integrative work is, even doing it, but you probably didn't have a course at it at any time. So here's our chance to say, here's what interdisciplinary work is. Here's what integrative work is. Here's why it's important. Here's why it's hard. Here's why it's easy. We'll do just a few readings on those and have you comment on that for 20%. And then I have 10% for just getting things in on time, right? Now, I say get things in, it's all drafts, except for the discussion board stuff. We'll close down at some point, but everything else is drafts. And I won't be giving you a final grade until the final portfolio. So I'll be giving you feedback, right? You'll have the rubric, you'll see your score in the rubric for this draft and that draft. You can do as many drafts as you want. Okay, and I'll give you a score according to the rubric on each one of those, and none of them will count until the final one. All right, but I want you to get those into me on time. All right, so at some point, 5-6 weeks in, a draft of your final paper is due. Right, it won't be the final paper; it'll be a draft of. All right, and I'll give you feedback on that. So there's should be 100%. What questions do you have? Does that make sense? Does it feel like it's doable in 8 weeks?
It sounds like a lot, but I've had a few 8-week classes that were more intense than others.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's quite a variety, and I'm trying. I'll show you here. So I'll scroll down here. So here's the schedule I'm using for this semester, right? So you can see where, yeah, you get the whole thing right there. So you see, I've broken when things are due is sort of Mondays and Thursdays I've been looking at, right? So and I try to return things within a week as well. Usually it's faster than that, but depending on how big the class is, we'll probably get things back within a week, so you can revise them if you want to do that. So it's spaced out pretty well. Right? Not everything is due all at once. There's not a lot. There's no real lecture going on here. You're required to do the reading. It's a very independent run kind of course. Is that fairly common, or what's your looking to our two online PACE folks here?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Pretty independent, and
Yeah.
some use video lecture, I assume, or audio capture or something. Is that?
Yeah, it just kind of depends. I have one right now where it's just, we've been doing like 1,500 word papers.
Okay.
And we've had a couple of them, so it's a lot.
It's a lot of work. And then there's the readings you're doing
Yeah,
along the
and
way.
discussion board entries.
And discussion board, okay. Yeah, so this is going to be independent. I mean, I don't have, I'll be sending out announcements and tips and ideas, and I'll do all that, but I'm not going to have a lecture moment or a video lecture that I can anticipate at this point. But you should see the timetable here. And then, so the draft, their draft was due the Monday before Thanksgiving. I got it back over Thanksgiving break, and they're going to be turning everything in next Monday, the whole portfolio. Okay. So that's the bulk of the work. I'll give you, I think I'll give you access to this syllabus. I'll make sure you all have access to this syllabus. It will change a little bit. I'm learning as I go as well, right? I'm seeing some things that don't work so well or could work a little bit better. So I'll be adjusting as well, but I want you to have a heads up on what roughly the format's going to look like. Now, the other piece I want to share with you is the portfolio piece. I'll give you this address as well, and you're with me, I assume. Yes, you are. So this is on Google Sites. Has anybody used Google Sites before? You've all heard of Google, of course, but you don't know about Google Sites. I'm not surprised. It's an online, sort of create your own website kind of platform. We're going to create our own portfolios on this, right? So it'll be out there. It's public. Now, people who don't have your URL won't know how to find you, but it is public. So we'll want to, upload things that you're happy with and you're willing to show. You may not want to put addresses and phone numbers up there. I'm quite cool with that, right? Don't put any identifying information up there. But it will be an online site. And what I've done is I've created this template for you. So what you're looking at is the template. So, and I've got, so in the front page of the template, this is all my text now. You'll be replacing mine with yours, right? The introductory page. I have instructions on how to create the site. I got little screenshots here. Do they show up? There's a screenshot. It shows you where the create button is, that kind of thing. But I'll show you how to set this up and create your own site and begin to work it. All you're doing is creating a site and using our template, because our template gives you all the pages and the menu and everything you're going to need. Okay. Below, it's very easy to modify this. If anybody has done things on things like WordPress or some of these other sites, it's very easy to edit, to add videos and pictures and charts and documents and PDF files. It's very easy to manipulate this thing, which is why I like using it. So this will show you some things you can do. You'll see my template is very minimal, not very exciting, which I think is just fine. I mean, a good professional site isn't noisy, it's professional. You're welcome to change the template or the colors or the formats, whatever you want to do. You're welcome to make it your own. I'm going to suggest you keep it professional, because this will be going out and potentially employers might be seeing this one day. So you want to think about that. So the pieces are all over here in the menu. There's the annotated bibliography. And you'll see on that page what I've done is I put instructions up for you. Right. So how you do that, other sites to go and look, other schools have done this kind of thing. There are some wonderful writing programs out there where they talk about this kind of thing. I have an example here. This is this is an example here of what it might look like. It's just hard to read, but small, but you could look at that. And so on. Where's something else I can put up here? Intellectual autobiography. Again, I have So what I'm looking for are some examples to go to and look at. There's some good ones up there. You can sort of see, well, here's how one looks. And there's a nice chapter here from a book where she talks about what this is. So really, I think all the help you need's there, and I'll add a few things online as well. Okay. So that's the portfolio. And editing is easy. You click on the little pencil up there and you can edit anything you want to. You can add pages if you want to. You can change the formatting if you want to. Any questions? Does it look doable? Anybody panicking? Anybody giving a second thought? It's actually too late to back out. Now you're stuck.
No.
So what do you think? What's your reaction?
It looks like what I expected.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's a capstone. And so if you think that the purpose of a capstone is to demonstrate something now, right? It's not so much you're learning something. You are learning something, obviously. You're going to learn something because you haven't had an early course in integrative studies or interdisciplinary work. You probably haven't had any exposure to those ideas at all, even though you've been doing it, right? So the capstone purpose here is to sort of show that you can do this, all right? Do we have any rubrics available? Do you?
Do you want me to go under the?
Yeah, can you go into my, do you have my Google thing there?
Mm-hmm.
You know as well as I do. So go in. So we have rubrics for everything now, is what we're doing. And so,
Anyone in particular?
yeah, just that's good. And this will all be on Blackboard. I don't have the Blackboard site to show you right now, but we'll use Blackboard. This will be all on Blackboard, and I'll have it such that I can evaluate these things. I think it's proficient, competent, and novice are the three areas we use. And this sort of explains sort of all the things I'm looking at when I'm looking at this autobiography. What it is, autobiography? Yeah, all the things I'm looking for and what that means. And of course, you can ask questions at any time, but this should give you a, you shouldn't miss anything if you're following this, right? And then I'll use this rubric all the way through the course, from your first draft to your last draft, okay? And then I have one for the final paper. I have one for the bibliography. I don't have one for the resume, but I do have for everything else. There's a rubric like that. And so that should be the kind of thing you can always go to and say, am I doing what he wants? And then I can go and say, yeah, you're okay here, but not great. And I can try to give you a bit of advice about how you could improve perhaps. But for the most part, the rubric should tell the story. That seemed reasonable. Okay, good. So what are you thinking about final projects? How daunting an idea is that?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I was kind of wondering, I mean, you literally just pick any kind of topic and you're just gonna.
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you're going to be too broad when you start.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to work at you to narrow it down. I'm telling you, it's true of almost everybody I've talked to in this class, is you start too big. And you want to get, it's going to be a 6-page, think about an editorial. If you're writing an editorial for a paper, you don't say, well, I'm going to write something on baseball. Baseball's too big. It can't be the history of baseball, right? It's got to be some little nuanced, picayune thing about baseball that's hot right now, right? What's the I don't know, I have no idea about baseball, but there's got to be some hot button issue among baseball fanatics that someone would write an editorial about and weigh in on, right? Designated hitter rule or something, all right? Something very sort of focused like that. And then you can now get in there and you sort of now give a real argument for a really fine-tuned position on something and anticipate the other side and do all that. So you really need to start thinking about something very specific, but I'm going to let it up to you because you have the expertise from your areas to sort of know where those things are, right? So think about the things that you've been studying, right? And again, not everything, but what do you enjoy about that? What are you passionate about? Is there an issue in those things that you really care about? Well, then I just say go for it. right? So, Ari, what were your things again? You had a nice package of
Social work,
counseling.
family, development, and psychology.
Yeah, it's great. So it's a great package up. I can see you using all of those.
Yeah.
So is there an issue in all of that you really care about? Maybe something coming out of a course, by the way.
Just I took a number with like children's behavior problems.
Okay, that's too broad. But you're pointed, right? And this is where you start, right? You're pointing in a very interesting direction. So I would say, well, is there a particular behavioral problem that you want to say something about, right? Our particular kind of child, our particular kind of, so maybe it's children in a certain kind of situation who have a certain kind of behavioral problem, and there's a certain kind of approach we take that you're disagreeing with, or you're agreeing with, right? You see how I'm just getting narrower and narrower and narrower, but you know, it's all stuff that you would have encountered at some point, right? And now what you can, so maybe there's a class, and you say, well, you know, in my class, we didn't really talk about psychology, but I certainly see why psychology is relevant to that problem, right? So now you're going to start bringing that stuff in. Does that make sense? Is how that might go? You see how that might work? What are you thinking? You got a good package too.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really like the pre-law and public admin.
Yeah.
classes I've been
You
doing.
get some leadership in there, right?
Yeah, and then I work with Fidelity, so it's kind of that business and the rest department. So I don't really have a topic in mind, but it's probably something.
Yeah, I mean, take a real life problem that you know about because you're in it,
Yeah.
right? And say, well, now how do I apply what I've learned? Not everything, but some of the things I've learned to help sort of explain the problem and to find a solution to it. And it can't be a big problem. It's got to be a real life kind of problem. You've got the right background now to do that kind of thing.
I have a question
Yep.
on the artifacts.
Yeah.
So I'm in a different position than everyone else because I have a foreign language. Do you not want any foreign language artifacts because of, I guess, readability or whatever?
Well, I'm not going to be able to read them. I'm happy to accept them, though, as long as your narrative is in English.
Okay.
Right? Because I have to read the narrative. But if you were to say, this is I wrote a story, or I wrote an essay on, or whatever it is, and it's in German, and here's what this is. Here's why I did it. Here's what I think about it. Here's what the assignment was. I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
Now you're right. I can't evaluate, but the point is going to be, I'm not going to be reevaluating your work, right? That's not my job, right? I'm assuming you got a grade on that work, and there's some professor who gave you that grade and evaluate and give you feedback. And well, I do want you to pick your best stuff, right? As I really want this portfolio to be your best work. It's the work you're leaving on. So there are these things, and you're welcome to revise them, right? So if you did write an essay on something, you say, well, I guess, or I got an A on this, but I think it could be a little bit better, right? Go in and tweak it and make it a little bit better. That's great. And then talk about that in your narrative, right? So I'd be fine with that. Do you all have stuff you could draw from? Have you kept stuff? I mean, I assume you have something now. Everything's electronic now, probably, so you probably have something somewhere. But it could be an essay, it could be a project, it could be all kinds of things. Any other questions? You're ready to go. Do you think you could start this before the second 8 weeks? Are you interested in, not with me, but I mean with, and are you going to try and?
I'm gonna try and get a head start.
I think you'd be well. I mean, get the portfolio started just to make sure you can do it. You don't have to post anything right away. You just have to sort of make sure you have one. And then I think the hardest part is getting that topic. I just think that's the hardest part. And because your prospectus will come first, obviously, but if you get a good prospectus, the paper will write itself. That's where you want to be on your prospectus. You want to have so much work done that you're making a pitch, knowing in advance how this paper is going to go, right? And in fact, in the prospectus will be a tentative outline for the paper. I'll talk about this, this, and that, right? And I'll employ these sources, and I'll touch on that argument, and I'll make this point. And if that's your prospectus, that's not much more to write a few more pages and have a paper, right? So that's where I would be aiming right now is, can you get that topic, find those sources, and do that kind of thing. Okay,
Can I make a couple plugs?
please do.
So Career Services is really helpful with resumes. I know they've got a lot of resources online, but meet with them one-on-one too and get that personal feedback on how to specifically critique your resume. They have a lot of experience with employers. They know what they're looking for. They can really help you tailor your resume. So I would suggest meeting with them one-on-one if you can. I think that's really helpful. And getting that done sooner rather than later is good, especially if you're job searching.
Yep.
You want to have that resume done sooner. I mean, we're here on campus even after classes end. So the week after finals, we're still here on campus. So use that time
Yeah.
to come in and meet with the career advisor if you can, or work on it over winter break. You could get that done before the class even starts. And then the writing center is really helpful as you're working on your paper. Other students have told me that, when they go to the writing center, they typically get a whole letter grade higher on their papers than when they don't use the writing center. And you can work with them as much as you want to. And they do, they have online services too. If you're not able to come in and meet with them on campus, you can send them their paper and they'll set up a phone appointment with you to go over it. So the writing center, I've heard very positive feedback.
I just sent a note out to my
Especially if you-
students saying
Yeah,
to do that.
especially if you need help with citing and things like that, they can be helpful with that.
I'm going to add a third, which is Steely Library. If you're not used to going out and finding scholarly works, right, articles and books and things for your topic, maybe you are, maybe you're well aware of what Steely has to offer, but they got lots of helpful people here and lots of resources. Don't ever pay for an article. They'll want to charge you, some journals will want to charge you a bundle for an article. They get it here for free. You put it in it's a source find, it's called Source Finder. It's in your library alone, and you tell them what you need, and they will find it anywhere in the world. All right, so they're really, really good at that. And then if you just want advice, again, the challenge for our program, and maybe you're aware of this, is that you're becoming expert in like 3 or 4 areas, right? It's not as though if you're just a biology major, you go, you know the biology stuff. You know where it is. You know how to find it. You know what's expected. It's not easy, but it's pretty straightforward. But now you got 4 areas. So where do psychologists go, right? And it's not always the same place that the social work, counseling folks will go, or where the biologists will go, or it's a challenge. And so I think the librarians are really well equipped to help you with that. So I use them, and they have online help as well. So you can just grab one over here and say, here's my problem, and they'll help you either make an appointment with somebody or right on the spot say, well, why don't you try this? And that includes getting your stuff down to a thesis. It includes all that sort of thoughtful stuff about, I got to narrow this. So they're great advisors. I really recommend them. Okay, so those are 3 great resources. I do have a reference to the career because of the resume stuff. I think they have some of the nicest stuff out there. The only thing I'll say about the resume that I'm seeing missing in almost all of them is attention to your education. All right. People will put, I worked at McDonald's, and they'll put 4 bullets of the 4 things they serve the most. Well, it's not the thing that an employer really cares. That you could work at McDonald's is a fine thing, but it's not worth 4 bullets. What's worth 4 bullets is what it means to be an integrative studies student, right? Because an employer won't know what that means. So you have to say, and in studying integrative studies, I studied counseling and social work and psychology and family child development stuff, right? You can say that, and my interest in all this has been to work with families on these issues. That's a powerful piece of that resume that's much more important than what you did at McDonald's, right? So I see that missing in a lot of resumes. You don't want to overdo it. I'm not suggesting you sort of write an essay here, but do not overlook what you did in all these years in school. And the more you can articulate that, the better it looks to the employer. That's the only thing I'll say about our samples that I see online is they're very job oriented. And what's unique, I think, to our program is that no one really, you say you're a biology major, they sort of get that. They don't really, because there's so many ways to be a biology major, but they think they get that.
Yeah, when I say integrated studies.
They don't want it. Right. What's that? But this is why you've got to say what that is in some brief way, but a meaningful way. And the same thing goes for your intellectual autobiography. And all those places now, think about, well, how do I say this in like an elevator speech kind of thing, right? But you want to have that elevator speech ready. You want to do little, you know, when you get in the elevator with the potential employer and he says, well, who are you? What do you do? You want to have the 3 minutes of here's what integrative studies is and here's what I did. Because if you just say integrative studies, they're not going to know what that means. Now you know what that means, but they're not going to know what that means. Okay? Anything else? So feel free to get a hold of me. I mean, if you're starting soon, that's great. I'm happy to help and look over things. If you want to see, is this an idea that's worth pursuing? Is this going to work? I'm happy to give you advice well in advance of the course and get you started on things, or anything else for that matter. Any other questions? Did I forget anything? Did you bring a pad? We can get their names. I think let me just get your email and so I can send you everything and make sure we have that. All right. All right. Well, thank you for doing this. I think you got a little bit of an advantage. I think now. So make a good one.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks.